Yo, what up, though? So the Minnesota Vikings plan on using a franchise tag, but it won't be on Sam Darnold. It will be on cornerback Bryon Murphy. The Minnesota Vikings reported today, I believe, they are trying to work out a long-term deal with Bryon Murphy, and the franchise tag hit at 20 mil per year. So I don't really know how much they're going to offer Bryon Murphy on his contract because he is going to get paid in free agency, man. Or the Minnesota Vikings is going to pay him a nice amount of money, man. But the Vikings look like they're trying to bring Bryon Murphy back. I'm not really too mad about Bryon Murphy coming back if the Vikings can work out a long-term deal with Murphy, but I think Murphy gonna get anywhere between 17 to $20 million, man. If he signed with the Vikings 14 or 13 per year, that right there would be a steal. But I think Bryon Murphy looking at 17 or 19 per year, man, because he had a good year last year. He had a lot of interception and he played good in Brian Flores' defense. But my whole downside of the thing is if I'm paying the quarterback top notch money, I expect you to take away at least a number one wide receiver on somebody's football team. And I don't think Bryon Murphy can take away no number one, hell, not even number two on nobody's football team. But he is a good corner. And you bring Bryon Murphy back. Hopefully Vikings can bring in another free agency corner like Paul Adabo. I like Paul Adabo from New Orleans Saints. And he come off an injury. That's another player the Minnesota Vikings can look at free agency because he's not going to be that expensive, then I'll really be happy with what they did in free agency on the defense side of the ball. I don't know what they're going to do with the offensive line yet, but it seemed like Quasi and everybody and Brian Flores is on board on signing Bryon Murphy. If they can get a long-term deal um, before you got to tag the player and stuff like that, he will get tagged. But I think the Vikings just want to give Bryon Murphy a long term deal. I don't know how long. I'm thinking probably about 3 years tops. Hopefully, Quincy don't do what Rick Spielman do. You sign a player to a long term deal, then you kicking some shit down the road, kicking some money down the road. And that's how the Minnesota Vikings was in the mess they was in 2 years ago. And we just got out the hole kicking the money down the road. So I'm dying to see how they gonna sign Bryon Murphy, how many years it's gonna be, how much per year. But Bryon Murphy look like he gonna be back next year with the Minnesota Vikings, man. It seems like he is not going anywhere, man. And I'd be okay with signing Murphy to a nice deal per year. Give him 15 per year. 15 per year for 3 years, all 3 years guaranteed. I think that's a win-win for everybody. And the Minnesota Vikings can look in free agency and bring in another low-end corner to bring depth and people can compete in that secondary room. And that's just for the corners back. So it's like they're gonna sign Bryon Murphy, man. How y'all feel if the Minnesota Vikings do bring back Bryon Murphy on a 20 or 19 per year for 3 years? How would y'all feel about that?